Aloha and welcome to what might be the second to last video in this series. We'll see how far we get. We'll see how many unanswered questions or where we are at the end of tonight. But tonight we are going to talk about Mr. Right or Mrs. Right. In the last video, I mentioned that you may not know yet who is a good fit for you, and that's why we were talking about not dating exclusively, but dating different people so that you can figure out. And again, the reason that you may not know is because you're still changing and growing, and so you're still figuring out who you are. That's what high school's kind of all about, or middle school's the step up before that. But tonight, we're actually going to start by pausing the video, and I want you guys to make a list of what you want in a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And we're going to take about 3 minutes. You can write the list in your journal, or you can use some scrap paper. But yeah, I want you to take about 3 minutes to write out a list of what you would want in a boyfriend or girlfriend. Some of you are thinking, I don't need 3 minutes. I don't even know what to write. And some of you are thinking, I need a half hour. Well, we're going to meet somewhere in the middle and try for 3 minutes. So, see you in a bit. Alright, now that you guys have made your lists, let's discuss it just a little bit. I've basically got one point to make about it and then a couple of questions. And we're not going to answer the questions while the video is playing, but you guys can go back and discuss them during small group time. I would encourage you to save this list. It may not stay the same from now until the time you decide to date or decide to get married. But it's still interesting to keep and look to see what you're valued. By the way, I forgot to say it earlier, but please excuse the cats going crazy back there. I know it's probably distracting, but they're a little wild this morning, and I really just need to get this video done, so we're going to put up with it as much as I can. The first comment that I'd like to make about your list is, if you put something about looks, that's okay. Some of you might have very purposefully not written down they need to be cute, handsome, whatever, because you thought it might make you seem shallow. Well, I am going to say that attraction is important. It is. But if it is the only thing on your list, you got some digging to do, because it cannot be everything. The relationship will not last and hearts will be broken if that's the only thing that you're looking for. The first question I want to ask is, did you put anything about their values matching your values? If I had made a list when I was in high school, and I probably did, but the list would have contained a lot of interests. Like, I definitely would have put, he has to be a good dancer, and he has to be interested in board games, likes playing board games, things like that. And that's cool, but guess what? I would not have married Mr. Brad if that were the thing that was most important in the long run. He doesn't dance except when we go to his class reunions, and it's like pulling eye teeth to get him to play a board game. But because his values very closely mirror mine, we've lasted, 29 years this March 1st? Something like that. So the values are actually more important than the interests. You can always find friends to do things with. I think I had children so that they would be interested in going to see musical theater productions with me. Brad and I did both have working out in common back in the day, and we still do. But that's also more of a value, because we both valued being physically fit as opposed to just something that you enjoy for entertainment. Second question, did you put anything about them getting along with your friends and family? or the people who are closest to you more specifically. You remember we talked about the concentric circles of relationships, and those people in your inner circle, and then the second most inner circle are the people who are closest to you. Does this person that you want to start dating, does that person get along with them? A lot of times in high school, people stop spending as much time with the people in their inner circles when they start dating. Sometimes this is because they just don't know how to manage their time differently. Sometimes it's because that person doesn't get along with their friends or family. Sometimes it's because that person becomes their world, and so they are trying to spend every moment with them. What I'm going to suggest to you, especially when you're dating in high school or middle school, is that that needs to not be the case. You need that support system of those people who have made their way into that inner circle, those people that you have learned to trust. You do not want to ditch them just for this new person in your life who may or may not stay in your life. Even if they do stay in your life, if those people are in your inner circle and have not done anything to break your trust, they are still people that you need to continue to surround yourself with. So put effort into finding somebody who fits with your friends and family in that inner circle, but also put effort into making time for everybody. I know it can be really time consuming and very difficult to find time for everybody, and your friends may not get the same amount of time that they used to get, but they should be able to get some of your time. And it would be really wonderful if you could spend time with both your friends and your boyfriend or girlfriend, because they all get along and are friends also. Having said all that, I don't actually think the question of what your Mr. Right or Mrs. Right looks like is as important as the question of whether or not you are Mr. Right or Mrs. Right. Have you grown to the place where you can participate in a healthy relationship as opposed to getting caught up in games and mind games and choices that are not healthy for either one of you and are likely to lead to heartbreak? The Bible is actually a wonderful resource for trying to figure out if you are Mr. Right or Mrs. Wrong, and helping you to work on yourself so that you can become a person that would participate well in a healthy relationship. The Bible asks questions like, are you slow to anger? Are you quick to listen? Are you confident in who you are? Can you stand firm in your values and beliefs? Or are you quick-tempered, easily offended? Are you tossed about by the winds and waves of your circumstances? I'm not saying that you have to have yourself totally figured out in order to start dating. What I am saying is that the more you have your feet under you emotionally and knowing who you are as a person, the better choices you'll make. So for the rest of our time in this video and in your small group time, we're going to be taking a look at 12 questions that were put forth by Clayton and Sherry King in their book, 12 Questions to Ask Before You Marry. Don't get scared. I know y'all are not looking at getting married right now, but a lot of these questions are also very relevant to people who are starting to date, especially if you're dating someone exclusively, which, as I mentioned last time, sometimes happens more quickly than time would suggest. Question 1. Are you willing to grow up? Childhood is all about being focused on ourselves and not so much on others, although children are tuned into their parents. However, being in a healthy relationship means so much more. You have to be willing to consider the other one first. When you're in your small group, take a look at these 2 verses and see what the Bible has to say about growing up. I really like this quote from the book. It says, "People who are willing to grow up are developing the wisdom and foresight to look ahead and predict the outcomes of the decisions they make." if they don't like what they see in their future, they make changes. What a great way to approach dating from a mature standpoint. A lot of times when we are dating somebody, especially if we're young, we just tend to react to whatever happens next, and that can lead to a lot of heartache also. Question 2. Are you equally yoked? When you're dating someone, the two of you don't have to be in the exact same place spiritually, but the Bible does say a lot about being equally yoked with someone that we're in a relationship with, but even with our friends. Hanging around with someone with completely different values can be very hard, and it also can be very dangerous to living a Christian lifestyle. Question 4. Will you tell the truth? This isn't just whether or not you're honest. This is more about those concentric circles of relationships that we had been talking about. Are you ready to be vulnerable with this person? And have you guys been together long enough that they have earned that level of trust from you? Question 5 is, will you commit? And I have to say that if we're talking about middle school and high school dating, the question really should be, are you committing too quickly? Again, so many people jump into relationships physically and emotionally, and they jump in with both feet. But marriage is hard, and people are broken, and hearts break when you commit before you even really know someone or have spent a lot of time with them. So don't jump in too quickly. Get to know that person and reserve the acts of marriage for marriage. Question 6. Are you compatible? This one sounds like it's about the other person, but it really isn't, because how will you know who you're compatible with until you understand yourself and understand your own values? For the sake of time, I'm actually going to stop the questions right there. We'll cover the next 6 questions next week. But yeah, let's go ahead and break up into a small group and get into scripture and then discuss how all of this applies to your life. Bye, guys.